Okay. Thanks very much for coming back, and sorry to cut the conversations short, but we're going to get right back down to it, and looking forward to continuing with the solution side of the day. First off, I would like to introduce my colleague and former city councillor, Gordon Price with the City of Vancouver and with Simon Fraser University, who has a special announcement, a warning, and a way forward for a project that he's spearheading called Region at a Crossroads. Gord.
Amazing, we've been through this for a good morning now, and no one has used the phrase, cities in a sea of green. Cities in a sea of green. Did you show the map? Did it have it on there? Well, who crafted that phrase, Zach? Cities in a sea of green. He says Jim Wilson. You say Overlander. Do I have another name? It was Overlander. Yet another fascinating moment here, learning about the region. Cities in a Sea of Green, in Ken Cameron and Mike Harcourt's book, he credits it to Jim Wilson. Zach here thinks it was Peter Overlander. We'll let Ken figure that out later. To me, it has been just a brilliant combination of words that describes the vision that has sustained us now for, well, gosh, over half a century. Maybe if we accept Zach's idea, over 100 years. And in it, you have all the foundational principles that have gone into every plan that we've ever had for this region. Cities in a sea of green, so the compact region, within it, complete communities, joined by transit, surrounded by the green zone. And you saw a beautiful map, one of the best I've seen, which illustrates that so powerfully. And the data comes in that shows how we've stuck with that and seen the results. And here's the thing. That's applied over a long time. Generations now. And it's applied across the region. Leadership has bought into that. Now it's a requirement legally. You have to be consistent with the regional vision. But above all, it's crossed the political spectrum. And I've seen no better place than today, this morning, where you heard about George Puel and Joy McPhail, whether Gordon Campbell or Mike Harcourt. Leadership has come from the left and the right to reaffirm that vision that has served us so well. And we've had a great affirmation of that. Cities in a sea of green. So, having been part of it, sat around those tables, when I see what's happening currently, well, I recognize Zach's point that we're always facing challenges. This moment seems to me to be different, and for two reasons. One, the loss of the transit referendum. And even leave aside the question around funding and transit, it had the support of the public and private leadership of this region. On one stage, you had mayors, you had business, the Board of Trade, you had labor, you had the environment. It was an expression of unity to reinforce that vision. And we voted no. It was a vote of non-confidence, whether you like it or not. And I still think the leadership is stunned from that. So if we won't be shaping growth with any assurance around transit, because if you can't fund it, you can't guarantee it, and then you can't plan on it. What do you do by default? And this is the second thing. By default, we will spend billions. The checks will be written. They are being written so that we build some of the biggest roads and bridges in the history, not of just this region or this province or this country, but arguably in the minds of the provincial government, the world. And you saw, if you were observing carefully there, that every time a bridge has been built of significance in this region, Oak Street in '57, and then Richmond rezones in 59. Or Port Mann is built and opens in around 63, and Surrey becomes a bedroom suburb. You who know and study this realize this connection between transportation and land use, inseparable. And so here we have it. We're at a moment where we're committing ourselves to a 10-lane bridge to drop down on land, agricultural, wildlife, and land below sea level. Land below sea level. We're going to spend $3 to $5 billion to do this. In my mind, this is an existential crisis. It's a question about who we are. We know what we say. We have our vision. We articulate it, whether it's an opening by a First Nations person or what we have in almost all our documents, sustainability, a vision of green, the greenest in the world. And yet, we are spending our resources to industrialize the Fraser, to be carbon dealers to the world, and to spend that wealth on massive road and bridge infrastructure that will profoundly change the land use. And invariably, that's what it does. So that's my case. It's a region at the crossroads. And we have, I think, a limited amount of time in which to tell that story and to make a general sense of awareness on how we're going to respond to this. The search for legitimacy. And every generation and every leader has to do it. So, what am I going to do? And this is what I've decided. I'm at my point in life. I have some money. That great intergenerational wealth transfer the millennials have heard so much about. Yay! So I decided, okay, I'll put $50,000 on the table, and I'm going to commission creative people, young people, people who need to not only learn about the story, but to tell it in their own way so that it becomes part of their story. And it occurred to me, as a Simon Fraser director, I'm surrounded by them. I see them every day in the hallways. I know they're in classrooms and offices, in public policy and urban studies. They're the ones who have decided they're going to directly address this. So what can I do? Well, how about a check? $5,000. Best essay that addresses this question about the region at the crossroads. And they took me up on it. So today, right now, I get to welcome the winners. I want to thank Ken Cameron and Chris DeMarco and Meg for sitting on the panel to select it, and it's even more of a pleasure to invite Caitlin McDougall and Shirley Yang, and I think they've just been joined by someone else. I've forgotten your name. Come on up. This is a time when we bring out the big check, which I don't have. Instead, Evan's just joined them. I'm going to ask Sherry, just to tell you a little bit of what they got in mind.
So thank you, Gordon, and the jury panel for selecting our team and moving forward with this opportunity. It's a very fascinating topic for us. And what we want to accomplish in the next 2 months is to investigate some of the recent decisions around transportation investments and land use projects and see how they fit in with the larger regional goals that we have set for ourselves, and ultimately the longstanding vision of creating cities in a sea of green. We want to look at policy decisions, policy processes, and the key roles, players. And as policy analysts, we also want to come back with some meaningful strategic recommendations. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. All that for $5,000. More than that, actually, just to finish off here. We've also commissioned some podcasts from Chris and Melissa Brentlet of Modacity, for those of you who know. And Daniel Woods here as part of the Crazy Planet team, who we've commissioned a documentary for. Tell the story. Tell the story. How we got here. Who led. Where we are now. And to powerfully and visually illustrate it with interviews from the people who were the leaders, who are the leaders, and to show visually what's going out on the ground and what the consequences of this are. And so by the time that we go into the spring of 2017, no one who can run for office, no one who's concerned about this region, should be able to proceed without addressing this question: what's your vision? Do you affirm the one we have? We don't have to rethink it, I agree. But we sure need to reaffirm it, that constant pursuit for legitimacy. So I put out one final challenge to anybody. You may find yourself in my situation. There's been a tsunami of wealth into this place. We're choking on the money. I challenge you to put up $5,000 next year. Or if you're at UBC, to do it with SCARF students. Or if you've got an idea that tells the story of this place and helps share in the search for legitimacy. Now's the time. Now's the time. And I think, because we've done it before, we'll do it again. Thank you.